In the spring of 1927, relentless rain swelled the Mississippi River beyond its limits. Levees, thought to be indestructible, crumbled under the pressure. The river burst its banks, unleashing a catastrophic flood that covered 27,000 square miles across 7 states. Entire towns vanished overnight, and farmland turned into an endless sea. The sheer scale of destruction was unimaginable, leaving nearly 1 million people affected. This wasn't just a flood, it was a disaster of historic proportions. The flood hit hardest in the Mississippi Delta, where thousands of African American sharecroppers lived. Trapped by rising waters, many sought refuge on levees, only to be forced into labor maintaining them. Relief efforts were slow and unequal. White communities received aid first, while black families were left stranded. The disaster exposed deep racial injustices, fueling anger and migration. Many African Americans left the South for northern cities, accelerating the Great Migration and reshaping America's demographics forever. The government's response was chaotic. President Coolidge largely ignored the crisis, leaving relief efforts to the Red Cross and local officials. Herbert Hoover, then Secretary of Commerce, took charge, using the disaster to boost his political career. He organized massive relief efforts, but failed to address racial inequalities. Many black survivors were forced into work camps with little aid. The flood revealed the government's failure to protect its most vulnerable citizens, deepening distrust and shaping future disaster policies. The economic impact was staggering. The flood destroyed crops, livestock, and infrastructure, causing over $1 billion in damages, an astronomical sum for the time. Thousands of farmers lost everything, plunging the region into deeper poverty. Many were forced to abandon their land, accelerating urban migration. The disaster also led to major changes in flood control policies, prompting the federal government to take a more active role in managing the Mississippi River, leading to the Flood Control Act of 1928. The Great Mississippi Flood of 1927 wasn't just a natural disaster, it was a turning point in American history. It exposed racial and economic inequalities, reshaped migration patterns, and forced the government to rethink flood control. The lessons learned from this catastrophe influenced future disaster responses. Even today, its impact lingers in policies and infrastructure. The floodwaters receded, but the changes it brought to America's social and political landscape remain undeniable.